Good evening, this is Kuro. Got a ranked game in my Harugumo. Um, since I'm going through ranked, I've already done a lot of Shimakaze. That's my primary ship for the season. Done Yu Yang. Gonna get a Harugumo commentary. There's probably a lot of people that are at least passingly curious about this ship. It's getting a lot of publicity right now. People are calling it overpowered. Yada yada. Um, So, Harugumo and ranked. Going over the matchmaking, we've got a Wooster. This is a major threat to us. Double gearing Shima, couple battleships. Um, the Shimas are the Shimas and the Wooster are definitely the biggest threat, and I would actually rate them equal threats to Harugumo. She is very, very prone to eating torpedoes, and to the extent that you really need to watch how you position her, uh, especially if you run into a Shimakaze like me that's running F3s. Um, if you're spotted within 7 kilometers of my Shima, you're probably going to eat at least one torp, and it doesn't really matter what you do unless you're like angled bow on or stern on perfectly and the torps just pass you by. Um, she's just that hard to try to deal with torpedoes. Now coming up here, um, just looking to you know get in a position where I can do some damage. Now unlike regular destroyers, my job isn't to go in there and contest the caps. My job is to start putting some pressure on the enemy. Now, one thing to note, my build, I do not use IFHE. I've got a fourth smoke, a fourth speed boost. It really doesn't matter. I've never actually used the fourth torpedo reload, but I guess it's there if I need it. I will almost always use all 4 speed boosts in a 20-minute game with this ship to try to minimize how slow and clunky this ship is. So you're always going to see me have a speed flag on it, and you're always going to see me, and I'm running the extended speed boost module on it. So I've got a 3-minute speed boost instead of 2. Now coming up here, I've got 4 smokes, so I can afford just to drop a smoke here and get some pressure on this Montana. He's in a bad position, ran aground. Honestly, I could probably be using AP here, but HE syncs with my team. There's my Woosters shooting HE at the guy, getting fires. You know, and that's really what I'm looking to do with this build. It's not about raw damage, it's about fire damage. It's about that. This is actually a really good play by the Shima here, pushing up and proxy spotting me. His issue is that he gets proxy spotted right next to a Wooster, so he's got to back off. But that was a pretty good play by that Shima trying to get me wrecked. But you're gonna notice I'm playing this a lot like a cruiser. I'm in here tight to cover, and just doing whatever I can to, get shells on target without exposing too much of myself to damage, and just let my fire chance start doing the work. And yeah, here I'm just, apparently I hate islands. I don't hate this island. This little ledge has saved me so many times. But right here, I was actually getting ready to push out there and launch some torps, try to go for C cap. I get radared, and you see how sluggish this ship is trying to get it back in cover. You know, was finally able to get it back in cover. I get another fire on the Yamato, and I mean, every fire, it's potentially huge percentage damage. Yes, they can heal it, but they eventually run into the situation where they have to start falling back, because if you're in a battleship and you have to blow your heal, uh, you need to start thinking about, you know, chilling out a bit. If you have to blow your damage control on top of that, you have to pull back or you're going to get sunk. So right here, pushing out, getting that smoke up, and I am trying to target the back of the ship and doing a pretty terrible job of it at the moment. And unfortunately, my team just doesn't have vision on him. And this is one of the downsides of, you know, my team has a Kaba and a Harugumo, and that's rough because there's not a lot of spotting damage, or not a lot of spotting power on my team. So at this point, I know the Wooster's radar is down. I'm gonna come in here, step on C-cap, and basically what I'm going to try to do, I'm going to try to get some spotting in for my team by coming in this direction. And what I want to do is I want to stay outside hydro range of the Wooster and just spot whatever's back in here. Any sort of DD that's going to push me, they'd pay a really heavy price to try to get me at this point. So Wooster's radar is up, or it might be, I'm trying to remember. I think that's it. Yeah, that's got to be Wooster's radar. So I basically had started kiting. My team ended up killing the Wooster, and at this point, you know, here's what I'm talking about. This BFT demo expert, survivability expert, and superintendent build. I may not be doing a lot of like raw damage, but you start to see the pressure stacking up on these battleships, and if these battleships can't be in around the caps, the enemy team is going to have a hard time supporting their destroyers with my cruisers up in this cap. And I mean, this guy's going up like a torch. And just like a cruiser, I'm coming in here trying to get in behind this island. Unfortunately, this Shima's keeping me spotted, but I'm not being aimed at, so no need to smoke up. But I'm basically spreading my shots out. You know, was hitting the stern. Unfortunately, didn't get any fires there, but basically just raining shots all along the length of his ship, trying to get those fires. Got one there off one of the last volleys. And this game's coming to a close rapidly. I go on ahead, step into B cap, and it's with Harugumo. It isn't about cap control all game. Your play style is more about creating pressure for the enemy, forcing them away from the caps. If you see destroyers, obviously you're pounding the destroyers. You're excellent at just tearing destroyers apart. If you've got, you know, particularly a shimikaze or something like that, you ride with that shimikaze and let them let them do the spotting in like a DD heavy game, and you just pummel these guys. Um, so uh, not a cap control oriented game or play style. You're more worried about creating damage um, and pressure to the enemy. And I mean, I was less than 2k from a witherer uh, amount of damage on mostly those battleships. They just had a hell of a time. Anytime they got near the caps, they just started, fires spontaneously just started erupting on them, and that's how I want to play this ship. If they tried to push the cap, I would, obviously torp them, get the flood, and then just burn them to the ground. You know, that's kind of the MO of Harugumo. Um, so if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Um, Hope you guys enjoyed the game, and I will talk to you later.